Welcome, everyone. Bread and Spread. I'm waiting on Kashuda. I'm not going to make you people wait. I know there's plenty of people that are watching right now. There's zero. Oh, here it comes. Here we go. Here we go. John, can you hear me? I thought I was going to have to do this alone.
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I had to make sure I had a yellow shirt on again.
That probably says light. Does it say lightning?
No, it's actually a Brewer shirt.
Okay. Gee, do we have that much of a delay that you can't hear me like instantaneously or what?
Yeah, I'm seeing your mouth moving and then I hear sound later.
Damn it. I can see your mouth move and then I can hear it. It's perfectly timing.
Huh. Well, sounds like a problem on your end.
Welcome everyone to Bread and Spread. We're calling it Bread and Spread because Conlon's not with us anymore. And until Conlon's with us, it is going to be Bread and Spread. It's the way it is. And he says that's dumb. And I'm like, you're dumb because it's dumb that you're not here.
Bread and Spread in protest.
Like, what the hell is he's at another what is he at a conference he said or something?
Yeah.
I don't think conference. He said something. Oh yeah, I'm at a conference in Camp Breakaway.
Yeah. Okay, well, priorities.
Okay. Well, we're back week 2. Week 1 was not fabulous.
No, it was a weird week in a lot of ways. And actually, I was looking at some of the DFS stuff. Some of the guys with like target leaders, and it is normally weird, but this week one was a very weird week and a very weird week 1.
Which is what you kind of expect. I'm just looking at this right now of all the. I should have done a calculation of all the home because I didn't take all the home dogs, which I should have probably. But a lot of them did hit. No, you know what? Actually, it was kind of 50-50. I don't know. A lot of dogs hit, maybe not just home dogs. You went you went 5-11. And I went 7-9. Are you still there?
Okay.
Oh, you're saying well about the 5-11.
Yes, that's bad.
Did you know you went 5-11?
I didn't. I thought I did better than that. I thought I was closer to 500, but okay. Yeah, it's fine. I'll take it.
Conlon and I went 7-9.
Okay.
More importantly, I missed my survivor pick and your survivor pick tied.
They did, which technically means they move on.
That was my next question. What do normal survivor picks do? Do you move on if you tie?
I believe in an eliminator challenge, you have to lose to be eliminated. So
okay.
As far as I know, I'm still good. So
all right.
Not a loss.
We'll recap DFS stuff and prize picks once we get to it. Sure. But we might as well jump in right away because we'll get to this is the boring part, I think, was where we're just blazing through freaking spreads. Chargers at Chiefs tomorrow night. Kansas City is favored by 4. There's no Keenan Allen. There's no Harrison Butker. I have no idea why.
Amendola, not Danny, kicking.
That's who's kicking?
Some guy named Amendola is the kicker. So probably a little discounted kicker if you need it. I like the Chiefs.
Yeah,
even though I think the Chargers are a solid team on the road in that division, I still like the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Chiefs as well. I think it's interesting that probably whoever had Mike Williams was pissed off. Like he did jack shit. So this is the bounce back game, right?
Possibly, yeah. And you assume Allen's gone, so he fills in the void. Right. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it doesn't. He was bad last week.
It was really bad. So, okay, I got the Chiefs too. I'm going to probably ride the Chiefs until they prove me. I mean, out of all the teams that looked in pride, it was Buffalo and Kansas. I mean, this is no different. If you listen to any podcast, ESPN, The Ringer, whatever, you're going to hear this. It's going to be Kansas City and Buffalo look most impressive. They look like the best 2 teams. Ride them till you can't anymore.
Yeah. And because so many good teams looked so bad that even some of the teams that, and I'm sure Minnesota fans are thinking, oh, their team is going to Super Bowl and undefeated and everything. And Minnesota looked not great at times, even in a game that they dominated most of the way. So, yeah, Kansas City and Buffalo had the cleanest, most dominating wins.
Yeah, we'll cover the Packer. We'll cover the Packer game when we get to the next Packer game.
Yeah. No.
All right. There's a lot of like just shit games. A lot of shit games. All right. First game, Jets at the Browns. The Browns are favored by 6.5. And I'm just like,
based on what?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I mean, I guess the Browns go to Carolina in the revenge game and win an ugly game, which I don't know if that's impressive. Carolina sucks. So what? I don't really know what that proves. It's two bad teams. It's an odd point spread, which you'd think, okay, well, I'm going to jump on the Jets. I'm going to take the Browns.
Yeah, you know what? I originally, when I was going through the lines, I put down the Jets, and I'm like, wait a second. I remember that they had Chubb and Hunt, and I'm like, that's the point spread right there. It's those two running backs. So I am as well taking Cleveland. I'm going to mark these down as I go here.
Yeah, do that.
Next game, the Washington. I don't think I can ever not call them the Redskins. Do you still call them the Redskins at all or no?
I just take command. Take command. Okay. Yes.
Well, Washington is playing at Detroit Lions. Lions looked decent last week, I guess. Oh, I guess I didn't see, but I mean, by score-wise and stat-wise, it looked, they held with Philly. Philly's a popular pick to win the NFC East. I don't think we are surprised that Detroit could score, and I don't think we're surprised that they didn't defend really well, and they gave up a shitload of points. They are favored by, I don't know if I said, they're favored by 1.5 over Washington.
Detroit is favored by a 1.5.
Yes. These lines are as of, I did lines actually, I wrote them down maybe it was 2 days ago. I mean, I don't know, whatever. I think it was at least a day ago. And I redid them 2 hours ago. A bunch had changed. Nothing not like extreme or anything like that. But I think Detroit was 2.5. Now they're 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of reason that people would pick Detroit just because they had a massive comeback last week against what people think is a decent Philadelphia team. Washington, I think people feel like probably played pretty well because they played Jacksonville at home. But I'm gonna go against that. I'm gonna take the Commanders.
All right, I'm taking Detroit because I will never ever bet with Carson Wentz. I think he's the worst, one of the worst quarterbacks ever. So
okay, his stats were insane last week. So
yeah, I think he played well. I'm not believing he can do it 2 weeks in a row. I just don't like him. You know me.
Bad, so
yeah, whether it's a grudge or whatever, a belief, I'm dug in on this. I don't give a shit about Carson Wentz, and he sucks. So
okay.
Next game, Tampa Bay this is their first. Oh no, that's right. The Chiefs Chargers are divisional. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. Tampa Bay is favored by 2.5. No Chris Godwin by all accounts, right?
Yes, Godwin hamstring out.
And I think that's it. Everyone else is good to go, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is one of the hardest games to pick of any. I could see this going a lot of different ways. My gut tells me it feels like the Saints, just because Tampa, even with Brady, has struggled there at times in New Orleans. Tough place to play. I guess I don't know if it's still a revenge game for Jameis Winston. I'll take the Saints.
Yeah, it's gonna eat a W. Fucking moron. I'm taking the Saints too. For everything that you just said, I'm taking the Saints. I'm still on this. I'm still a little bit on home dogs here, and especially in divisional games. I still think that is a thing. It's still like we came here last week and we were like picking games like we know anything. We didn't know shit last week. We still don't know. I don't think we still know much. I don't. I think there's
No,
still going to happen.
Yeah, and you're going to overrate certain teams and players. You're going to underrate certain teams and players, and there's 17 weeks. I mean, I understand it's only one more week than it was before, but man, it is such a long season, and even a couple games don't prove much. I mean, if week one proved anything, then Deuce Staley would be in the Hall of Fame because of his one game against the Cowboys.
Deuce Staley.
Yeah, he had a good game against the Cowboys week one year. Hall of Fame. And
he's had more than one good game, I think. Has he not?
Well, that was his best game. And
how do you
where's
remember
Deuce
shit
Staley
like
now?
that? What is? I don't even know what that means. Like if it was like against the Packers,
Hey,
I can get it. What the hell?
Deuce Staley against the Cowboys week one has just a monster game, and then I think he died.
So why do you remember that game?
I don't know. Probably because I was the idiot who picked him up off waivers and thought he was going to be great. And yeah. So anyway, I'm just trying to make a point with Deuce Staley.
Okay. I don't know what the point that
week
is.
One is, yeah. Week one, you can't overreact.
So don't flood the waiver. I don't know. I mean, I looked a little bit for our fantasy waiver wire. I even looked at the waiver like, is there really anyone that's even worth picking? I mean,
no.
maybe,
no.
but
and yeah, I mean, we are competing against each other in the same league, and I'm going to let you know I'm not going there because we have salary cap for our pickups. I'm not wasting any money on anybody. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm looking at it, but I'm not. If I do, I'm not putting like a ton of money on it. Not a chance. Thurs will probably put $25 on someone.
Yeah, he waste at least a quarter of his pickups are be gone by the end of this weekend.
Probably put it on a kicker, and we don't play with kickers, so.
Right.
All right, next game, Carolina at the Giants. The Giants are favored by 2.
Yeah, God, what an awful game.
Right?
It's such a weird look, and that the Giants winning in Tennessee. I mean, I understand there were some bad losses for a lot of teams. I mean, Tennessee that's awful. You got a team coming in that's, I mean, would be happy to just be in that game, and you lost to them. So, Carolina's loss was, just as bad because they had the Browns coming in a revenge game, and so I'm going to take the Giants. I don't know why, but I'm just going to.
I'm taking Carolina. I don't know why. I'm trying to think what I said last week about the Giants and Titans. Like that was my survivor pick, and it was like, it's just stupid, just a dumb game. Yeah. I think I'm just taking Carolina because I just think they have a couple more weapons, like just a few more. I know it's at New York, but like I think they have more talent.
Yeah. Deshaun Foster doesn't play there anymore. You know that, right?
Deshaun Foster. Are you just gonna break out these old names like all night or what?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's McCaffrey against Barkley, right? Who's better? McCaffrey stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Barkley was great last week.
Barkley was great last year. Carolina's got a better quarterback, right? He's better than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is terrible.
And Carolina has better
defensively, but defensively, obviously, the Giants must have something. They only gave up 19, 20 last week. So they must be doing something right there. I don't know. I don't really have a reason other than the point spread is trying to get me off of Giants, and I'm not falling for it. So I'm going to take.
Well, and it's not going to. I mean, it's trying to get you. Oh, I see. They're trying to get you off of the Giants, but you're taking the Giants. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I totally just lost what I was going to say, but that's fine. Because this game is not worthy of going. Okay, that's what I was saying. You're not going to be surprised if whoever wins this game, correct? Like you just not it. Yeah.
No.
All right, next game: New England at Pittsburgh. New England's favored by
so many. Yeah. It's just home dogs, right?
Well, is that a Belichick? I mean, why I'm like, why is So Pittsburgh goes to Cincinnati and looks awesome.
Yeah.
And New England doesn't look like anything. And New England's favored by 2 on the road.
Did New England even score last week? I want to say they either were close or got shut out in Miami.
No, they did. Ty Montgomery of all people scored the touchdown, I think.
Whatever. It's still won't for him for
he
fumbled kickoff. Remember when he fumbled that kickoff against the Rams? In one game?
I probably do. 20-7. Yeah, he scored the only touchdown, 20-7.
Yeah. So a team who scored 7 last week is favored by 2. Yeah,
yeah, against a team that had 4 interceptions and scored 20, was it 23? 23, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I don't, and again, I'm not going to overreact to week 1. I don't think New England's any good.
We just did, but I agree. Yeah. I don't think maybe we didn't overreact. We reacted and both came to Pittsburgh because it makes sense.
It doesn't make sense that New England's favored or that they would even win outright.
So this is your logic for the Giants game. They're trying to make you get off New England. This is where you should take New England, right? Is this one of those like everyone's going to be on Pittsburgh? Why am I'm going against them?
Right. Like everybody's trying to overthink, like, why would New England be favored? And so trying to get that line to move out, it makes no sense. I'm going to, Najee Harris apparently is going to play. I know he hurt his foot. X-rays are negative. He's going to play. He's, if they're smart, he's going to have 25 carries. He's going to be touching the ball, and Pittsburgh has an offense, obviously, that can score. You know, Cincinnati's got a good defense. Pittsburgh moved the ball and scored pretty consistently. And their defense, even with TJ Watt after he got hurt, still was making plays and doing okay. I know Cincinnati did make a bit of a comeback, but
so next week we're going to talk about how we were both stupid for taking Pittsburgh and New England was the play, correct?
For sure.
Okay, just making sure. Next game, I don't know if some of these games are just bad. This isn't. I don't know if this. I don't even know what this game even is. Indy at Jacksonville. Indy is favored by 4.
Yeah. Last week's games seem kind of the games this week are horrible. You know, and Jacksonville had a weird one against the Commanders, and Indy tied and underperformed. Give me that. What was the spread again?
Indy -4.
I'm going to take Indy, even though I think they're a better team than they showed in the first half. Obviously, they were horrendous against a bad Houston team. Jacksonville's not any good either. I think Indianapolis has more veteran players, more talent. I'll take Indy.
Yeah, I'm taking Indy too. It's one of those. I thought the same thing. Like maybe it's like a Green Bay type thing. Like the first week, it's whatever they kind of lay an egg, but they've got. Whether it's Matt Ryan's gonna be passing the ball a ton or it's just Taylor running down their throats, whatever. I just can't. Yeah, it's Indy. I could see this being like a 20 to 25 point win for Indy.
Yeah, and Indy Pittman was really, really good.
Yeah, yep,
last
week
sure. for Indy. Yeah.
All right, next game. Miami is at Baltimore. Miami looked good against New England. Baltimore played the Jets, so what the hell do you really find out? Baltimore is favored by 3.5.
Yeah, with it being in Baltimore and the Ravens looked okay, but they played the Jets. It's tough. Obviously, Miami, a big win at home against New England. It's a much tougher test for Miami. I think being on the road against Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson really kind of underperformed last week. I know he was a big DFS darling. Everybody thought he was going to have a huge week. Kind of underperformed. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Ravens here.
Okay, I'm going to take Miami because I think that a nice win to start the season over New England gives them a little bit of confidence. They've got some good receivers. They've got, I don't know what Tua really is or not, but I hate Baltimore. I've always hated Baltimore. Okay. And sometimes I pick with my heart and not what makes. I don't bet on any of these games. Just for
Sure.
I don't think you do either. None of us bet on these games.
No.
I do draft
No.
games, we do prize picks, stuff like that. I
Sure.
don't actually put money on spreads because for doing spread and bread for I don't know 4 years, whatever. Conlon and I did it before this, 3 years. It's a shit show. Like it's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Vegas makes money. They build gigantic casinos for a reason.
yeah,
Because they're better at this than we are.
But I'm going to take Miami. All I have to do is really just get a better record than you and Conlon. That's the only. We should have. We still could. We really should put some. We should put some kind of money in. Not maybe money in a pot, but something. We should be playing for something. For
bread.
Well, yeah. Well, and whatever it is, if we played for a loaf of bread right now, Conlon does not get 2 of those slices if he wins because he's not been here.
Correct. He made picks last week though.
He did. He texted me his picks.
Okay. Well,
so
if he's making picks and he becomes a regular participant, then he can be in the running for the bread.
Then he can win the prize. Okay. Next game is Atlanta at the Rams. Rams are favored by 10.5 after looking like complete dog shit. I shouldn't say complete dog shit. I think Buffalo's just so freaking. I think Buffalo just throttled them. Rams are favored by 10.5 over Atlanta. Atlanta had a big lead against New Orleans. Pissed it away, lost by a point. Is it our hangover?
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to be coming off a week and a half of rest. Bad loss.
Oh.
They've been home the whole time. I know sometimes that makes it seem like that team should have some kind of an advantage. I think in this case they will. I think it's a big bounce back for the Rams. I think they come out and I think they're up big right away, and I think they cover easy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Rams. I just can't imagine that they. I mean, I guess there's a scenario where they win by 10, right?
Yeah.
They win 30-20 and they don't cover. So that extra half points kind of.
Yeah, last week
when you come out as you win the Super Bowl and you come out and you get throttled like that, I would think in week 2 you kind of come out like, let's make a statement. Let's not fuck around anymore.
Yeah, and Atlanta had that home dog motivation last week. They're not going to have that this week.
Yeah. All right, next game, Seattle, who looked frisky.
Yeah.
Monday night against San Francisco, who looked like I don't know. I'm not going to take anything from that San Francisco-Chicago game. That was a disaster. I don't know, it was pregame, whatever. I was doing something, and all of a sudden they cut away, and I see all this rain, and I'm like, all right, check my lineups. I'm getting every 49er and every Bear out of any kind of lineup I could.
So you had a Bear if you had a Bear in a lineup.
Well, I got Mooney. I got Mooney in my fantasy team.
Okay, yeah.
But I couldn't bench him because I wish I would have, but I couldn't because that's how bad my receivers are in my league. So anyways, Seattle looked good against, Hackett. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, that was pathetic. I don't. That was some of the worst clock management I have seen because you're at your own 45. You've got 3 timeouts left. You're really looking at just at worst maybe a 45-yard field goal. At worst in that situation.
Yeah,
they're basically giving that to you. It was just impossibly bad.
I'm just watching. I was watching with Caden, and there was like the last play they ran was like at 40 seconds or something like that, and they have 3 timeouts, and I'm like, are they not calling a timeout? But like, I was so stunned, and I thought about this after because I was kind of comparing stuff to Packers. Would in that scenario, and if you had someone like Rodgers, because Russell Wilson's been around a while. Is there a quarterback in the league that would look around and be like, we're not calling a timeout. Fuck you. I'm calling a timeout.
Yeah. And that whole scenario where I think it ran from about 40 seconds down to 20.
Yeah. It was 20 seconds. Yeah.
And they didn't use a timeout. It just was insane. I mean, the announcers, whatever mumbling voice Troy Aikman has, he's saying, why are they not taking a timeout? Yeah. I mean, everybody knew it. Everybody in the building was asking, why are you not taking a timeout? And none of it made any sense. They'd have been better off trying to position themselves for a Hail Mary with Wilson. And I understand the kick wasn't actually that far off, but I don't know what they were doing.
Well, and I mean, what makes it just worse, I guess, is that they did call a timeout. They just waited 20 seconds to call it.
Yep, right. Right.
Yeah. So I thought that I'm sitting there, I'm like, would Rodgers in that scenario have just called a timeout and gone to the sideline and said, like, what are you doing? We're calling a time, like, this is what we're doing. And I was thinking to myself, like, I wouldn't have been mad or surprised if Wilson did it, but it was such I don't understand how we are in this point in our life in NFL. Football's going on for how many years? We are in 2022, and that coaches can continue to fuck up clock management so bad over and over again.
Yeah. Last night, my son's flag football game, I used all 3 timeouts. We lost 31-19, but we didn't walk away with any timeout. I made sure we used those, gave ourselves a chance.
Yeah. Did you lose him at the end of the game when Hackett, like, what a moron. Like, that just to me, when he was doing it at the end, like, all you're doing is making yourself look dumber for not using him earlier,
Yeah. And some blame does go with Wilson, where, if you see that happening, why are you not looking at the sideline going, we're calling a timeout, right? I mean, so some of that does fall on him and the players to not say, we should be taking a timeout here. This is a little bit reminiscent of a game that maybe I was a coach in, that's bringing back some bad memories where some timeouts or maybe should have been used, but I'm not gonna go there.
I'm losing my memory. I'm just gonna assume it was an Appleton North game last year.
The Franklin, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say it had to be Franklin too. Yeah, we'll not touch that one. I don't know. There's part of me thinks to myself, I think Rodgers probably would be looking over, like, are we gonna call a timeout or whatever? But then there's also part of me that thinks that Rodgers wouldn't call a timeout, would sit there, then just bury LaFleur like the next week. Be like, well, I would have called a timeout. Like, just passive aggressive Rodgers, typical Rodgers stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Wilson would never do that, though. He's just gonna
no.
Whatever. He's gonna be a freaking robot.
I can't stand him. Anyways,
yeah,
we have a pick to make. So Seattle's at San Francisco.
What is the spread?
Sorry, what? -9. San Francisco is favored by 9.
Yeah, I'll take Seattle.
I am too. God, I am too.
That's a huge number. Gosh.
It is. And I don't trust. And now Mitchell's out for San Francisco. We still don't know what. We don't know. I guess we don't know what they look like. It's going to be probably a lot of Deebo Samuel on Sunday, but who knows?
Yeah, and you called Seattle frisky, and they were. They came out with a lot of fire, and obviously in a revenge game kind of situation, that's part of the reason. So I get it, but Seattle looked tough, and I think some of that will carry over.
All right, moving on. Cincinnati, who looked like complete shit, is at Dallas, who lost Dak Prescott for, I guess, what might be 4 weeks. We'll see. Cincinnati is favored by 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bengals here. I think they bounce back. Dallas, I mean, even outside of the Prescott injury, looked absolutely horrible. There is, that offense is totally flat. Looks, it's easy to pile on McCarthy because of his history here, but boy, they look absolutely awful. Their defense is solid, but I think Cincinnati come in and move the ball pretty well against them, and so I like the Bengals here.
Yeah, I'll take the Bengals too, just because of McCarthy. I hate McCarthy, so there you go.
Imagine if McCarthy coached the Ravens and Carson Wentz was a quarterback.
That would be, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, that'd be something.
We'll probably come across, and what if Tyler Hero was their safety?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point.
See, this is what I hate about Conlon not being here. And this is just what it is. Like, Conlon and I have talked about Hero before. Like, I have these, like, I have a list of things that I want to discuss, all three of us. But yeah. I can't do it without Conlon. Like, I'm not going to,
Yeah. Most hated players. We kind of touch on it every week and hint at it. This is just one big tease toward our most hated players. We just never can get there.
And there's even, I have other stuff like that, other stuff too, but obviously that's a main one. So anyways, moving on. Houston, who tied last week, right? Houston tied Indy, right? Yeah.
Yep.
They are at Denver, who we just talked about. Denver is favored by 10 points.
Yeah, it's a big number. But Denver's going to bounce back here, I think, in a big way. Obviously they had their struggles in that, emotional game. I see them bouncing back big.
All right. I don't see him. Maybe they'll bounce back. I don't see it big. I think 10 is too big of a number for a team that, I guess they didn't look that crappy. They had 2 fumbles on the goal line. Like,
yeah, right.
Who knows? And they missed a field goal, that would have won it. So who knows? But 10's a lot of points for a team that did that and a coach that coached the way he coached. So I'm going to take the 10 points and I'm going to take Houston.
Okay.
Next game, last late game or afternoon game on Sunday, Arizona at the Raiders. The Raiders are favored by 5.5.
Yeah, Arizona looked horrendous. They couldn't do anything while Kansas City marched up and down the field on them. I think you sent out the TikTok about Kyler Murray. Were you the one that sent the Kyler Murray one, where that this is why they put the stuff in the contract, because the guy can't read defenses. He doesn't know what he's doing out there. It's a bad week for them. That's a very limited offense. Again, they've got Kyler Murray throwing it to Marquise Brown, who I think total are like 6 feet tall combined. I like the Raiders here. I think the Raiders kind of had an up and down week last week. That will lead into one of my DFS picks. I like the Raiders here.
I obviously. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. I'm picking the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders only lost by 5 points. I mean, they only lost by 5.
Yeah, they played well.
Yeah, Carr had 3 interceptions and a fumble, or they fumbled twice. Maybe they recovered them both, but like, it wasn't a great. By no means did they look good, and they barely lost. So I'm taking the Raiders as well. But yeah, that Kyler Murray stuff. I'm not going to sit here and I don't know. I didn't play football. I don't know X's and O's part of football. I like to watch it, stuff like that. But when I see that stuff, it's like, and I don't know who the TikTok person was, but these quarterbacks should know shit like that. Like, it's not like you're an NFL quarterback. There's certain reads that you should know. And it was a play. There was, I'm not let's not get into specifics, but it was like, there was a blitz on the corner and it was a clear thing that he should have known, and nothing happening. The guy he got sacked because the guy came in from the corner unblocked.
Well, right. And I think there was some obvious, he didn't even turn his head. He was staring at one side of the field and never, even pre-snap, never even moved his head to kind of see what was going on the other side of the field. Just assumed what was going on, or just does not know, and just gets hammered on the play. And it's not a good sign for them. They've obviously he was number 1 overall pick. They've just invested a lot of money in him, and that does not look good. Does not look good at all.
No. All right, so we both got the Raiders. All right, we got to we're going to skip the Sunday night game. We'll talk to Green Bay in a little bit. Talk about Green Bay in a little bit. 2 Monday night games, which is just whatever. It's weird. Tennessee at Buffalo. Buffalo is favored by 10. After Tennessee losing at home, they could have put this line at probably 17, and it might not matter.
Gosh, that's a huge number, though. It really is a big number.
There's two other. Okay, who looked worse, Tennessee or Atlanta?
The Tennessee, that loss is inexcusable. So
right, and Buffalo and Atlanta's playing at the Rams, who has no home field advantage. Yeah. Tennessee's playing at Buffalo, who's got a huge home field advantage. Buffalo's favored by less points, and Buffalo kicked the shit out of the Rams.
Yeah, I'm taking Tennessee.
You're insane. That goes against everything that you just talked about.
And Tennessee's a better team than they showed. I don't feel like that. I think Tennessee has the ability to grind that game down to stay within 10. I'm not saying Tennessee's winning. But
I know. Okay, so you're going to take the Rams to cover the 10.5 against Atlanta, and you're going to take Denver to cover 10 against Houston, but you're not going to take Buffalo, who by all accounts looked like the best team by far in the league to not cover 10 against Tennessee.
I think it just has more to do with the competition. Houston and Atlanta suck. Tennessee, I don't think sucks.
Well, I don't think. Well, they beg to differ based on last week's performance.
They sucked last week, yeah, but I don't think they're that bad of a team. I think Atlanta and Houston are bad teams.
Okay. Well, we're going to find out.
We are going to find out.
Yeah, listen to me talk like I actually know what I'm talking about. All right. The beloved Vikings are on the road against Philly. Philly is favored by 2.
Gosh. Again, because of what, last week and you want to make an emotional pick. I talked last week that I'm not a big believer in Philly, especially their defense. Detroit moved the ball, scored a lot of points on Philly. I don't think the Vikings they've never traditionally been a strong road team. I don't think they, I don't think their team lines up really well for a lot of, big road wins. That said, they were good last week, and played a really good game. I'm going to take the Vikings as much as I want to puke right now, but I'm going to take them.
Yeah, I'm doing the Vikings as well. I mean, it's just
it's an opportunity to get a game up on Conlon too, because he's not taking the Vikings.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
Yeah,
very good point. All right, so let's. It's actually a nice segue. We can segue into the Minnesota Green Bay game and go into the Chicago. So the Sunday night game is Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay is favored by 10. You got another 10-point game here, a spread that you can decide on. Let's just go over first thoughts. Green Bay, Minnesota game. Just give me your shit that it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, obviously the offense was really inconsistent. You set up the first play, the guy's absolutely wide open. Perfect call.
Changes everything.
But again, you're throwing it to a guy who didn't even play a preseason game.
Yep.
So he's knowing it's coming to him, because I'm guessing that play was by design. That wasn't a read or a check at the line. Like, that was the call.
Yeah.
So he knows it's coming to him. So, as much as you want to say, well, if he catches that or whatever, it's like, well, you also took the risk of throwing it to a guy who's never played in a game, who played at North Dakota State last year. So, there is some risk in doing that. Now, granted, he was wide open by 10 yards, so it's worth the risk. Yeah. I feel like, the offense scored 7 points, so I'm frustrated with that. They did move the ball. They had the inexcusable goal line stand where they had driven 80 yards on the field. They were moving the ball, when it was 20-7 and it kind of looked like maybe they could get back into the game. They started moving the ball there too. But I think I was most disappointed in the defense, because, there was a clear way to win that game and they couldn't do it, which was basically to like bracket Jefferson and limit his options and make somebody else beat you and put pressure on Cousins, and they couldn't do either of those things. I think the how bad the defense was the most disappointing thing to me.
So, and when you say how bad the defense was, I'm going to say it, I'm assuming that you mean how bad the scheme or coaching was, like how they decided to play
all of it. Just
all
of it.
The players I don't think the players look bad. The players were doing what they were probably told, right?
In some ways, but I think I don't know. Up front, I don't know. I know in terms of the coverages and things like that, and I'll say week after week one, and I was saying it last year, I'm not a fan of Darnell Savage. I don't think he's a good player. I think they need to address the safety position a lot, but is totally out of position constantly. Their DBs looked so bad the whole game. Stokes was getting targeted the whole game. Samuel didn't do anything. I mean, Samuel. Who am I thinking of? 29.
Like, I know the numbers.
Yeah. Okay. Looked Alexander looked bad. It was just really disappointing how poorly they played. But the scheme, maybe the scheme in terms of bringing pressure against Cousins, you got to get it. You got to have a guy in his face, and you've got to take Jefferson out of the game. And honestly, I would have rather they force them to give the ball, to run the ball. Minnesota run the ball and lose that way. But to lose with Jefferson, it just seems like that's the most obvious way to not lose. And he could have had, if that game would have been closer, he could have had 250, 300 yards receiving.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it wasn't the whole Barry defensive scheme before was just let them run as much as they want, but take away
Yep.
so it like flipped completely. I don't know if I mean there was times where Jefferson wasn't even covered, which to me that's scheme wise. I don't think it was any blown coverages because guys weren't there. It was just like, oh, we're in a zone and he just found a spot.
Yeah,
but there was
the
some
spots were so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. The space was just so much space.
And I don't understand how do you that game happens and you come back and Alexander's like, well, you know me, I wanted to guard him. Like, and it's like, what the fuck have you been doing the whole fucking week? Have you been talking about anything? Has anyone said, I want to cover him? I don't want to run like what? And I get it. Like the coaches are going to say we're running zone, whatever. But like, how the hell does all of this shit just culminate into just that? Like it's just that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to cover a guy like that. It's nobody's going to cover him one-on-one. It's a team effort, and the problem is the corners seemed really shallow and the safety seemed really deep, and Cousins, if you've got nobody in his face and he's got all day to throw, and there's 20 yards between Jefferson and the closest guy, that's easy.
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it just seems so easy the whole day. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, we touch on like if if Watson catches that pass right off the bat, it's like, okay, now we're, who knows what happens. The fourth down on the goal line play, like we text each other and I'm just like, we're just running a dive. We're just gonna run a fucking dive. Like that's all we're gonna do. Like,
yeah.
There's no creativity. I just don't understand. It's just like you're just bailing the defense out. Oh my God, it blows my mind.
And I don't know if maybe that's a weakness of this kind of McVay tree of offense. What the Rams do, what the Packers do, what the Broncos now do, is maybe that offense just doesn't adapt well inside the 20. I don't know, but there's some consistency to it. Since LaFleur has been there. They've always struggled inside the 20, and I don't understand it. And it's cost them. Now it cost them in the playoffs the last 3 years because they get inside the 20. They can consistently move it between the 20s, and they get in the red zone, and the whole offense falls apart.
And right, I mean, you get it. Like, obviously, the field's shorter, it's tighter, and stuff like that. That's the normal. We get it. Like we're not like saying that you should be able to move it easier, but I think I texted. I don't know. Maybe I texted to our group. I was just like, I feel like LaFleur should just be like, I'm fucking out. Rodgers, call the play. Do whatever you want to do. Audible, you call the play and within the 20 or at the goal line, whatever. I don't care because like if you like we ran up, there was no play action. There was nothing. It was just I feel like you could Google. I could go to Google right now and be like top fourth down goal line plays, and I could have come up with 5 better plays from Google than what LaFleur did.
Yeah, and it's tough because you think about, gosh, I'm going to sound old now. It's so awful that this pops into my mind, but you think about some of the better Packer teams, especially West Coast offense Packer teams in the 90s, whatever. Like those teams in the red zone were, very creative and scored. And even some of the better Packer teams from 10 to 15 years ago were fairly consistent. And just this more recent version of the Packers with Rodgers and the LaFleur offense, it just trips over itself in these kind of situations. And you would think with the kind of guys they have, especially a guy like Jones who can get to the corners, he seems like a guy that inside the 20 you'd want to get the ball to, like whatever you need to do, screen pass, get him the ball and let him run to the edges. He seems like the obvious guy to be the red zone threat, and instead it's just firing blanks. It's so strange.
And like, I get it. I get Dylan. Like Dylan's just a beast. Like he's tough,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
I don't run a play action, and everyone collapses, and you got just a guy running across the middle of the freaking end zone. I just feel like everyone, and I know it's not as simple as that from whatever. I just feel like every coach should have a certain amount of plays where it's like, all right, I am in a must-win score position. I've got to score here. Like I'm
Yeah.
burning one of my best plays. I don't give a shit. I'll burn it right now. And I mean, that was like I could have ran that play.
Yeah.
Like you could have grabbed anyone and just like, spread out 4 wide and just run and die. They'll never know it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. And so you've got fewer blockers in there. You don't have a tight end in the game. I felt like, Tanyan would have been I think they kind of underutilized him in that game. I think he could have been a lot more effective. I understand he's coming back from an injury, but in the red zone, that's why a lot of tight ends score touchdowns is because they're red zone threats and it's a tighter space and they find that spot underneath. So I don't really know, under the circumstances when you've got a bunch of young wide receivers out there who may or may not be running the right routes and may not be making the adjustments the way they're supposed to. Tunyon seems like an obvious guy. Even DeGuara seems like an obvious guy in those moments to get the ball to when you're trying to get, some of those smaller chunks of yards. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah. One of the things I mentioned that I have a list of things that I want to discuss. I want to make sure Conlon's here for it. This is we're kind of going around it, but one of them isn't. So you can just kind of put this in your brain for a little bit for a future episode is like, where are we at in the LaFleur era? Like, what do we think of LaFleur? All that stuff. So I'm not answering. This is not a question for you to answer right now. We'll get to it when Conlon's here. So we've kind of touched on it, but I want to know at some point we're going to talk about where we're at with LaFleur. Maybe we'll have more. We may have more, examples of shit or good, whatever. We'll get to that point.
Well, his hair looks great, but other than that, we can talk about it.
The women think he's awesomely. He looks great. And he's attractive. Who gives a fucking shit? No, none of us care.
Whatever.
Anyways, yeah. So Chicago's coming to town. I drove down the highway today, and I think it was. Did you see that? Did I send it to you guys?
No, I don't think so.
Snapchat. There was the Sunday night football crew semis were driving up on 41. There's like 6 semis. ESPN or whatever, not ESPN. What was it? What is it now? NBC? Whatever. Sunday night football semis, whatever. Anyways, so Sunday night football, Chicago is here. Green Bay is favored by 10.
So what is my logic here is that the really big favorites, if they're playing bad teams, I'm taking them. You know what? I think the Packers win. I think it could be very ugly. I think it could be a 20-14. The Bears defense looked decent against the 49ers. I understand the weather situation. I'll take the Packers though. I'll take the Packers. It's fine. I like the bounce back. I think the Bears are not a good team. So I'm going to take the Packers, even though I think the 10 is too much.
That's such a, but obviously it's a horn pick. The 10 is too much. I'm going to take the Packers. I thought we've had very similar thoughts this week. I'm taking the Bears for basically everything that you just said until the end.
Yeah, right.
I don't trust the Packers right now to beat a team by 10. I don't know what the hell's going on at receiver. I don't know what the hell's going on at running back. Dylan got all the work. Jones got nothing. Like I thought Jones, why? How do you not have like Jones has like 8 to 10 targets? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I can see taking the Bears from the Packers offense standpoint, but I guess the reason I'll take the Packers is because I think the Packers defense is going to have bounce back and Fields is awful. So that's why. So maybe the Packers win 10-0.
That would make more. I was just going to, so then it's a push, but anyways, so you said 20. I'm thinking to myself, this might be a 13-6 game. I just don't know how anyone, like at this point, I don't like Dobbs had the most receptions. targets. I think receptions are tied, maybe, or maybe no, maybe Dylan had one more, whatever. But he had the most targets and the most receiving yards. And I'm like, I know it's a Sunday and I drink during football games, but I'm like, okay, didn't know that happened. Like that wasn't the most irrelevant stats ever.
Yeah,
and I
I
don't
would
know
love.
where. And maybe maybe Lazard's coming back. He'll maybe Bakhtiari's back and Jenkins is back and we're full strength, whatever. I don't know. I don't. And 10 points is huge. And typically, I shouldn't say typically. Chicago's played us. We win all the time, but there are plenty of tough games within those wins. And I just don't. After what I saw last week, and there's a ton of shit that's in between. I got to take the points on this.
So let me ask you this question. So against Vikings, if Jenkins, Bakhtiari, and Lazard play, what do you think the outcome of that game is?
That's a really tough question because my assumption is that first play doesn't go to Watson because Lazard's in the game.
Right.
I don't know how many times did Rodgers get pressured or sacked. I'd have to check the stats.
He held the ball way too couple plays though.
He's always fucking done that. I don't know. That drives me nuts. I love Rodgers more than anything, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so many times. There was one I think towards the end of the play, I'm like, or the end of the game, I'm like, oh my God, get rid of the fucking ball. Like, do you not see him right there? He's always done that shit. Always done that.
There was one on that they were down 20-7 and they were driving and Tunyon was wide open on the sideline. It looks right at him and takes the sack. And I get it in that moment. Those are hard decisions to make that quickly, but you're also making a lot of money and you've won MVPs. Like you get paid to make that decision. And I don't think I still think the Vikings probably win, even if those three are healthy. Very close game.
So I don't think I've ever really heard anyone say that. I'm not saying I'm not breaking, earth shattering things like anything like that, but like, and I'm sure people have mentioned it, but so, I mean, we assume that Rodgers holds the ball because he doesn't want the interception. I mean, which is smart, but like, is there a part of it that's just like, I'm going to have the greatest touchdown interception ratio every season, but I'm going to take a shitload of sacks because I'm not going to do it. I saw Favre do the opposite, and it clearly was not a formula of success, aside from maybe 2 years, I guess. But
two completely opposite philosophies that have resulted in almost the exact same outcomes.
Right. Yeah. Well, now, to be fair, Favre didn't have McCarthy. Well, maybe. Did he have McCarthy? He had him. If he did, it was like, whatever.
He had McCarthy his last 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rodgers had the shittiest coach out of all. Well, although Mike Sherman was my God.
Dude. Yeah. Let's pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes.
We have hired such shitty coaches. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Those two guys in a row, by the way.
Yeah. That's a podcast on itself. I don't know. I just think like to myself, I think sometimes like Rodgers is like, his ego gets in the way. And I'm not saying that he should just chuck it up every time, but I feel like he is always like, I'm taking the sack. I'm taking the sack. I'm not going to take the interception. I'm not even going to risk an interception. Just because he wants
at time. Yeah. I think there's a thought in his mind that a sack is better than the turnover, when in reality, if you get sacked and you punt, we're only talking a few yards. So
depending on the down and stuff. Yeah, sure.
Under the circumstances, even if he throws a pick six there, are we any more upset now than we would be?
We probably are. I think we probably are.
Yeah, maybe.
Especially because Rodgers doesn't throw pick sixes.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's annoying to watch him hold the ball. I think because like you see the stuff that there's, and I know maybe he missed, right? We saw Tunyon open, maybe he didn't, and it's, but he does hold. I mean, look, it is reality. He holds the ball longer than we would hope, or than most people would like. Whatever.
Yeah. But I think you make a good point that, even if 2 of the 3 of those guys are back, I think that totally changes things against Chicago offensively. And that Chicago offense is dog shit. So I'm the more I think about it, the more I continue to like my Packers pick. You can take the Bears.
I will. That's fine. Packers are going to win. I just don't trust that it's going to be by 10 or over 10.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, I was 5-11 last week, so what the fuck do I know? So
good point. It's not like I was 7-9. It's not like I'm not winning money. All right, we are at we're almost at an hour. Let's blaze through this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's recap your last week. DFS wasn't.
It was all right.
Was it? Well, okay. I think McKenzie started off really well, and then it just went. But
McKenzie scored TD.
Yeah, but he had like 9 points.
Yeah. Well, he's super cheap. That was the point.
True.
So
True.
okay.
I guess
so,
good point.
Yeah.
Crowder.
CEH turned out to be by far the best pick of the week for me. And Matt Ryan was okay. Mike Williams is awful. So there you go. So there was some balance there. So I've got a few this week. And start with a Thursday night game, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we've got the Keenan Allen injury, which I think everybody's kind of targeting and figuring out, what direction the Chargers are going to go as far as distribution. I think Mike Williams would be, obviously a good fallback. And I think a lot of people will go with Palmer. I think, is it Joshua Palmer? Somebody like that. Robert Palmer. I don't know. He's simply irresistible. You heard that?
I did. I heard, and then I said Arnold. Yeah, Palmer. Yes, I got you. Don't worry.
I'm not going there though. I'm not going with Palmer. Deandre Carter was the leading receiver for the Chargers last week. 64 yards and a TD. I'm going him tomorrow night as a sneaky pick. He's actually he's cheaper than Palmer is, so you can squeeze in a little bit more on a showdown if you want to, putting Carter in. To the Sunday games. Okay, so some of this is, and I try to really stay away from chasing points, meaning a guy has a good week, 1 week, so you're like, oh, well, they're going to week this week. I think you have to take into consideration, their involvement in the offense and whether it was just kind of a freak thing and maybe they got a lot of points on one big play or something like that. So I'm trying not to do a lot of points chasing here because there's a lot of temptation out there. But quarterback, I'm going to go Derek Carr. I really feel like he had a decent week last week. I think if you take the turnovers away, he'd have been much better. And he's got a phenomenal matchup against the Cardinals at home. I think it's a nice bounce back spot for them. So I think Derek Carr is going to have a good game this week. Running back, this is maybe a little bit of a point chaser, but his involvement was heavy last week. Really like Darrell Henderson for the Rams. He's a feature back there. He catches passes, and he was clearly RB1 there for the Rams. And again, they got the Falcons coming in, who suck. So I think any Rams you're going to be safe with this week. Henderson is really affordable, so he's a guy I like. And this last one, it's interesting. So there, a couple of the guys that were on the top of the target leaders list are not names that you would have ever imagined. Okay. So if I would have told you there's a guy with the last name Samuel who had 11 targets, 8 catches, two rushes for 17. Well, Debo, right? Try Curtis Samuel put up those numbers. He had a monster DFS week. He was targeted heavily. He's got Detroit this week, which is a similar matchup. I'm gonna chase that. I'm gonna chase Curtis Samuel a little bit because I feel like even if I don't know what his DFS price is, but it's dirt cheap. So I feel like even if he's anywhere in I'm guessing he's a little over 3,000.
We're gonna find out. I'll look right now.
Yeah, he's worth it with that kind of target share. It's nuts.
4,600.
Yeah. So I mean, a guy like that I think is worth it. Here's the one, and this is a guy I'm not chasing this week, but a lot is Donovan Peoples-Jones. He had 11 targets last week for the Browns, and it's a guy who's going to end up in a lot of lineups this week. So if you want to chase that one, you can chase it. But so tomorrow night, Carter, and then Sunday, Carr, Henderson, Samuel.
All right. Prize picks wise, my Mitchell under 64.5 rushing yards hit, probably because he got injured.
That helps.
Don't think it would have hit. You know what? There's a lot of people that'll say like, everyone look. Here's the reality on Prize Picks, over under any whatever is Prize Picks, underdog, whatever you do. Everyone loves the over. Everyone wants to take overs. It's what you want to do.
It's more fun
when a game starts. You're winning if you take the under. When you take the under, it's like there's all these season-long bets, right? And it's like take the under because if someone gets hurt, you're gonna hit the under. So mine hit because of an injury. But I'm gonna give you 2 overs this week. I'm gonna piggyback off of your Derek Carr Raiders thing, and I'm gonna take Devonta Adams had 17 targets.
Wow.
Third, I think I heard her saw 13 or third most in his career. I don't think that's going to change. Carr's going to throw at Adams all the time. So Prize Picks is at 92.5 receiving yards. Take the over on Devonta Adams over 92.5 receiving yards. And then, Jesus, this one's dicey, but and I'm not going to take full credit for it. It's not like I'm not doing all these like calculations and stuff like that. But odds wise, one I've seen that looks good is Damian Harris, right? From New England Patriots.
Yep.
Over 45.5 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So I think you saw last year, Stevenson had like 25 yards rushing in the first quarter, or first half, and he was done. Nothing happened. So Damian Harris, 45. Let me just double check. 45.5 rushing yards over that. So 2 overs for you for Prize Picks.
Yeah.
So there you go. Last but not least, Survivor Picks.
Yeah.
Even though I bought back in. I can't take Tennessee anymore, which is fine because I would not take them because they're going to get crushed by Buffalo. You can, well, whatever. So who'd you take last weekend? Indy.
Yeah. So, obviously a lot of heavy favorites. I think, and the only reason I'd probably take them in this spot is because of the play. They're going to have tough spots come up. I take the Rams now, just because they're going to end up with San Francisco, Seattle, Arizona. Obviously hasn't looked that good, but I think Arizona's capable of beating them. So I think this is a good Rams week.
Well, this is going to be boring. And if I could share my screen, which I don't need to, but I have the Rams as well. I wrote my pick down before.
Wow.
That is who I have. I thought the same exact thing. I'm like, if they're in a tough division. At some point, they're going to lose a game in the division that you didn't think they were going to.
Right.
They just lost. Just get it out of the way. You can burn them now. Don't have to worry about using them later. So, all right. Well, we both have the Rams.
Okay. Well, good.
And kind of a point. Well, I know, whatever. We have a lot of the same picks for spread and bread.
I'm really looking forward to the text string during the Packers-Bears game, just because of us going the other way. And John is going to go Packers, so it's so it'll make it interesting. And I defended picking the Bears before I picked the Packers, but again, I refuse to overreact. I still think the Packers offense is way better than that, even though they really played poorly. But it's week 1, and if you compare, there's more glimmers of hope with the Packers offense after week 1 this year than there was last year. Think about last year's opener against the Saints. I mean, the world was over. It was, they couldn't do anything. They need to fire the coach. Rodgers is done after week 1 last year. I think there's a lot of reasons to be hopeful after the opener this year, and they lost 23-7. So
now, I mean, the flip side of that is we don't have Adams. So, I mean, there's more of a hope, but there's less because we still have such an inexperienced receiving core. But getting beat the way we got beat last year was way worse than how it just happened this past Sunday, for sure.
Yeah, right.
So,
and I'm just trying to learn a lesson from that.
Yeah. I agree. It just sucks. It just sucks worse when you lose to the fucking Vikings. Just
for sure. Yeah, you're a game back in the division already.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking that's the Vikings. That's all.
For sure. Yeah.
So 16 games. We have 11 picks are the same. And I'm obviously I'm assuming you do all yours before you come on. I have all mine written down before. I don't change them when just because you pick whatever. So very that means we're gonna go like 4 and 12.
Yeah, well, I always pick first the way this has gone because you're the
Well, you did today,
host.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last week we went back and forth, but yeah, tonight you picked them all first, which is fine. Whatever.
Yeah. So it was a little more on the fly for me. There was a lot where I could have gone either way, but
there's a lot of times I do stuff on the fly. I did not tonight. I'm like, I'm gonna write these down. I'm just gonna get them down, set to go. Here we go.
Sure.
Oh, Conlon joined. You got the email. You got the link. Conlon just chimed in on. I'll show you. Here's what Conlon wrote. You can look at the screen. Conlon, you got the link.
Oh.
We're just wrapping up. If you want to join the, you can join the podcast. You can join for the last
Love
5
you too,
minutes
John.
real quick. If it could be 5 minutes.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, it's also awesome time talking to Conlon.
Yeah, it's good seeing you, John.
What are you doing here? Where are your hands, Conlon, on this picture down here? Where are your hands in that picture?
Yeah, suspicious. Yeah, I do.
All righty. Anything else?
Okay. I don't think so. So,
it's a rough week of games. I don't know. I haven't even looked. I'm assuming we're gonna get are we gonna get Tampa Bay, New Orleans in the noon game, and then we're gonna get freaking Cincy, Dallas for the 3:00 game.
Yeah, those are great nap taking games.
I want Arizona Raiders obviously for the 3:00. Oh, I bet you they'll give us New England Pittsburgh at noon.
That is awful. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, bread and spread. Conlon, if you're listening, bread and spread is done. Bread and spread, not your spread and bread. Maybe Conlon will join us next week.
Yep, John, the loaf is on you. You can pick up a loaf. That's going to be the championship. Since you missed the first 2 weeks, the loaf is on you.
Yep. Suck it, Conlon. All righty. We'll talk.
All right. Later.
See you guys.